Welcome to the Midwest and Pioneer Model Railroad Club. For our tour today, we'll be following the travels of this Amtrak train as it works its way around the layout. Besides looking at the layout from the outside, from the aisle, we can go into the cab of the lead locomotive and view the scenes the way the engineer would see them. We begin our tour at the intermodal yard. This is an area where overseas shipping containers are loaded onto double-stack well cars, and over-the-road truck trailers are loaded onto flat cars for transport. Beyond the intermodal yard, we have an industrial area made up of a number of building flats which sit against the backdrop. Just beyond the industrial area, we have our diesel servicing facility, which you can see passing here. Next to the diesel facility is our steel mill, built to represent the Republic Steel Works in Cleveland, Ohio. This is a view which most observers don't get, the train passing behind the steel mill complex. This is the view from the aisle. The steel mill even has an ore boat here waiting to unload. We're now passing through Southern California, going around Tehachapi Loop, and we see a train of refrigerator cars pulled by a set of first-generation diesels. This would set the scene somewhere in the 1940s to very early 1950s. Going around Tehachapi Loop, up the hill, and then we go through the tunnel into an area that hasn't been scenic yet. Because we had to wrap the Tehachapi Loop area at 90 degrees, we had to build an entire new section. Now we're at Ketty Y in Northern California. The actual Ketty Y doesn't have a lower level track the way ours does. This allows us to use the scene for two tracks at the same time. Our passenger train crosses the viaduct on Ketty Y in Northern California and goes through the tunnel into another scene. As our train comes out of the view divider and crosses a small wooden trestle, you can see the country station on the lower level track below. We've gone around the coal mine and have passed the 14-track classification yard. This is our passenger terminal under construction. Our train goes through here, wraps around to a place where a roundhouse is under construction, and goes through our major city area. The third track has joined up with the two main line tracks, serving passenger trains that go through the city, around the farm area, to a commuter station on the hill. We now see our train coming out of the city, crossing the river past the Boy Scout camp, past the bed and breakfast inn, some suburban housing, and our farm area. The train loops around the lake, comes up the hill, and there's a passenger station for suburban commuters at the top of the hill. Because this is a tourist special, we won't be stopping at the station today. We see an Amtrak train coming the other direction that's stopped there, along with some Union Pacific passenger cars. We cross over the bridge, around the bend, into another scenic area. This is our representation of the Wisconsin Dells area. Several pieces of rock for the cliff face were carved from plaster, molds were made, and multiple copies were produced to form the entire cliff face, which was then colored with artist's colors. The train passes over a scratch-built bridge and heads around the bend through another area which has never been scenic because it was added after our move from Broadview. The train is now approaching Horseshoe Curve. Below the train on the right, you can see the town of Altoona, representing a bygone era when the streets were made of brick and the train tracks ran through the middle of the street. This is Horseshoe Curve near Altoona, Pennsylvania. The era we model has 4 tracks and a steam locomotive at the top of the hill. It also has the old souvenir stand in place of the new National Park Visitor Center and diesel locomotive that you would find if you visited it today. As the train disappears around the bend through a cut, it comes out at our power plant. You can see the coal train here, ready to unload its coal for a coal-fired power plant. Cross the bridge and around this curve, and you return to the intermodal yard where we started our trip.